Oh, I'm completely soaked. Standing before me, my wife, Emily, was dripping wet. A group of thugs who had spilled beer on her were laughing crudely. One of my brothers is in the mafia, you know. If you're upset, try fighting back. Oh really? Then call this brother of yours over here right now. What? And a few minutes later, the thugs were about to experience hell. My name is Michael, 26 years old. This spring, I married the woman I had been dating for a long time, and we've been enjoying a smooth sailing married life. My wife's name is Emily. Emily is 4 years younger than me, and she is a beauty who is the envy of everyone around us, my pride and joy. I'm truly grateful that she accepted my proposal at a young age and entrusted her life to someone like me. Despite being together every day, I wonder why I never tire of looking at her. Her petite face, glossy hair, eyeliner that perfectly complements her attire, and long eyelashes. Emily, you are really beautiful. And Emily, in turn, praises me, so we must sound like we're bragging to those around us. Michael, you're really tall and have such a great figure. I'm envious, and you help me out a lot. Thank you always. I'm about 6 feet 3 inches tall. While I'm happy to be praised, I'm somewhat slender for my height, which is a bit of a complex for me. Needless to say, Emily is quite delicate too, but she looks dignified in her everyday clothes and dresses, which I envy. Spending every day laughing and being with my beloved wife is an unparalleled joy. I'm sure there's no greater happiness than this. I respect Emily from the bottom of my heart and am deeply grateful to her. I never want to make Emily suffer because she married me. I'm determined to provide for and protect her. With that resolve, I've been working late every day. But in the end, it's Emily who supports me and makes it all passable. No matter how late I return, she always waits for me, prepares dinner, and greets me with an angelic smile, saying, "You've worked hard today." Just seeing Emily smile every day blows all my fatigue away and makes everything worthwhile. Thank you for today, Emily. It's nothing. I'm just happy you come home safely every day. But you must be tired, right? So you can go to bed first. But you don't like being alone. Well, yes, that's true. Feeling lonely isn't good. Thank you always. While I'm genuinely happy to be welcomed home, I'm also genuinely concerned about Emily's health, always waiting up for me. But for now, let's enjoy the dinner Emily has prepared. Feeling a bit shy, I savored the delicious hamburger steak Emily had made. After dinner, I took a bath she had prepared and laid down on a neatly made bed to sleep. It's easy to slack off, but Emily perfectly manages all the household chores every day, which must be hard. What an amazing wife she is. Thanks to her, I'm able to sleep soundly every night, even when I come home late. Today, like any other day, I woke up refreshed and headed down to the living room on the first floor. The breakfast was already prepared on the table, and even my clothes were set out. Noticing me, Emily greeted me with a fresh smile. "Oh, you're up. Good morning." "Good morning. Thank you for today, but you don't have to do all this every morning. You know, you were up late yesterday, and it's early now. You could sleep in sometimes." "It's fine. I do it because I want to. Come on, hurry up, or you'll be late." Emily, always working hard and sending me off with a smile. I wonder what I can do for Emily, who always supports me. Come to think of it, we haven't dined out together in a long while. I peered into her face and decided to make a suggestion. "How about it, Emily? How about we go on a date this weekend, for old time's sake? It's also a way of saying thanks for everything you do. What do you think?" "Really? Of course, I'd love to. I'm so happy. Definitely. Let's go." Emily took my hand and showed me a truly joyful smile. Seeing her so happy made it all worth the invitation. I worked several times harder than usual so I could leave work early on the weekend, and I managed to come home early on the day. After finishing work and returning home, I tried to calm my excited heart while waiting for Emily to get ready. "It's been so long, I'm actually a bit nervous," she said. "I'm sorry for always being like this. From now on, I'll try to ask you out on dates more regularly. Today, you can order whatever you like as much as you want," I told her. "Haha, you always say that when we go out to eat. I'm looking forward to it." Emily usually wears natural makeup, but today she had put on a full outing makeup and dressed fashionably. "Sorry for the wait, let's go," she said. Seeing Emily dressed up for an outing after a long time, she looked very beautiful, and I could tell she was really looking forward to today, which filled me with excitement. Before our meal, we strolled around some shops and enjoyed a ride on a Ferris wheel with a view of the night sky, fully enjoying our rare date. As the reservation time for the restaurant approached, we headed to the restaurant, planning to escort her there, but "I'm terribly sorry. It seems your reservation is for tomorrow," we were told. "What? You're Michael, right? The time is correct, but it seems the date is for tomorrow. So, there are no seats available today, at all. I'm very sorry, but it's the weekend and all our seats are fully booked. We're unable to accommodate you today." I messed up. How could I be so foolish? I could feel my face draining of color. Emily had been looking forward to today, even dressing up for it. She had been looking forward to it so much. I hesitantly looked up at Emily, but she reassured me with a calm smile. "Haha, well, these things happen. I'm really sorry. It was supposed to be a special date after such a long time." I let out a heavy sigh. "Don't worry about it. There are plenty of other places. Let's go somewhere else." "Are you sure?" "Of course. We can come here next month or something. You're going to ask me out regularly from now on, right? It's actually nice to have something to look forward to so soon." Emily is just too perfect for me. I've always thought so, but now more than ever. It's a miracle that someone like me can be by her side. "Michael, you're exaggerating. I'm just an ordinary person. Calling it a miracle is too much." "It's true though. I always think it's a miracle that I'm with you." While we were talking like this and walking about 10 minutes from the restaurant we had reserved, we came across a tavern. "Hey, how about this place? It feels nostalgic. We used to come to this tavern often and drink together." It wasn't a fancy place, but we frequented it. As we opened the door, the bustling inside and the savory smell of grilled chicken stimulated our appetite. But at the same time, we could hear the loud voices of customers from outside. "Ha ha ha, that's crazy, man. Hey, another beer here. Hurry up." It seems there was a group that was being particularly loud. Some thugs, what a nuisance. I made sure to protect Emily by keeping her behind me and asked the staff for a seat far away from that group. It's best not to get involved with such people. "Excuse me, could we sit closer to the front?" "Understood. Please follow me to this table." However, as soon as we were seated, the volume of the previously noisy customers increased even further. "Hey, waiter, can't you hear? We need more beer." "Hey, check it out. There's a real beauty over here." This is the worst-case scenario. It seems we've caught their attention. I try not to look their way to avoid further interaction. The waiter, looking flustered, came over to check on us. "I'm sorry, could you wait a little longer? The staff must be overwhelmed with the number of guests. We're still looking at the menu, so no rush." "Sorry about that, I'll come back to take your order later." But while we were looking at the menu, 3 of those thugs from the back seats started to surround our table. "Excuse me, we'd like to order. What's this about?" "We're not waiters, man. But hey, this lady here is gorgeous. Emily kept a composed demeanor and continued to look at the menu. What's your relationship with this guy? Excuse me, you guys are. Shut up, we weren't talking to you. Wait, are you two wearing rings? Are you married or something? That's a turnoff, but we're more fun than this guy. Come drink with us. Please stop, you're bothering my wife. What's your problem, huh? Just because you're big doesn't mean you can act tall, high and mighty. Come on, lady, we're better than this tall dude. Saying that, one of the men forcefully grabbed Emily's arm. At that moment, Emily glared at the men and finally spoke up. That's not happening, and I have no interest in talking with strangers like you. Saying this, she shook off the man's hand and returned her gaze to the menu. I was about to suggest leaving the place and tried to take Emily's hand, but the thugs interfered. What do you think you're doing? Just so you know, we're not just any thugs. Yeah, my brother's in the mafia. Such shallow thugs. There's no need to take these guys seriously. Just then, Emily directly addressed the men. Is that so? But that's about your brother, not you. If you have to brag, why don't you talk about your own achievements? Well, you probably have nothing to say, which is why you're mentioning your brother. Can you please go away? The atmosphere tensed up for a moment. And then, the men's faces twisted in anger, their fists clenched. But Emily, as if nothing had happened, turned to me and said, "Let's order this," with a cool expression. But at that moment, one of the angry men threw beer at Emily. You think you're better than us just because you're pretty. I told you, my brother's in the mafia, so I'm invincible. While glaring at Emily and laughing, it was clear he was desperately trying to make a point, having been hit where it hurt. Droplets were falling from Emily's face, but she was smiling. Oh, I dressed up so nicely, and now I smell like beer. I handed a handkerchief to Emily and then quietly stood up, facing the man who had spilled beer on her. Hey, which group is your brother with? Bring him here right now. What? I'm saying, bring him here. If you can't do that right now, can you give me his name? I'll get in touch with him myself. What the hell are you? Not what, just hurry up and tell me. It's Alex. Well, I guess I just need to bring the person himself, right? Enjoy acting tough while you can. There are always those who strut around using someone else's power as their shield. And it's always those types who turn out to be incredibly cowardly, just like these guys. Hey, stop muttering over there. Do you even understand your position? One of the men, probably to prevent us from leaving, continues to provoke us. It's really awful, your attitude. Say whatever you want about me, but you're going to properly compensate for what you did to my wife. What are you even saying? Hey, big guy, better watch your back in the dark. I'm just astounded by the lack of education and let out a sigh. Might as well make a call to a certain man. Hello, yeah, it's me. You probably know what's going on. Yeah, that's the situation. What the hell are you doing on the phone for so long? What's your deal? Did you hear that? That's what's happening. Too bad. Yeah, I'll be waiting. I quickly relay the message and hang up. After a few minutes, it seems Alex has arrived at the store. He must have been nearby because he rushes in, panting. Hey, bro, you were close by. Listen to this. This guy is being super arrogant. While pointing at me with a smug face, the man recognized as a brother, Alex, furiously starts beating up his brother. The sound of chairs and tables flipping over is loud, and glasses fall and shatter. This commotion is definitely not good for the restaurant. I apologize to the remaining customers and head over to the waiter. Keep the change. I'm very sorry for the disturbance. I leave all the cash I have on hand at the register and suggest that everyone should head outside. Let's talk outside. I'm so sorry. My foolish brother Jake, I don't even know how to apologize enough. Alex, I'm disappointed in you. I'm truly, truly sorry. Hey, you too, apologize properly, you idiot. Ow, what the heck, bro, what got into you? His friends seemed confused as well. But regardless of being Alex's brother, he did spill beer on Emily. I crouched down to his level and explained the situation. Jake, you were acting tough using your brother's name, but your brother is actually my subordinate. It seems you weren't wrong about the mafia part, but I outrank your brother. I had heard about you from Alex, but I never imagined you would do something like spilling beer on my wife. Jake, you spilled beer on the wife of the underboss. How blind can you be, you idiot? I'm so sorry. Your voice is a bit too quiet. Well, let's hear the full story slowly. Bro, I'm really sorry. I'll take full responsibility. For now, let's take him and have a talk. The subordinates that Alex must have called come pouring out of a car parked outside. Take these poorly trained thugs to the office. We'll discuss the details in the car. Following my orders, the subordinates efficiently load Alex's brother and his friends into the car. Only Alex's brother, Alex, Emily, and I remain. The other cars have already driven off, and Alex apologizes to me again before getting into his car. Bro, I'm really sorry. I'll definitely take responsibility for this. No, I'm fine, but I want your brother to apologize to my wife directly. I'm sorry, you're right. Hey, apologize properly to the boss's wife. I'm sorry. Then Emily crouches down to the same level as the remorseful brother, and with a Buddha-like smile, she beams at him warmly. Seeing that smile, the brother momentarily relaxes, his expression softening. But when Emily quietly mutters, "Your voice is a bit quiet," his expression immediately turns to one of despair. And then, as if about to collapse, his face goes pale, and he starts sobbing, apologizing profusely. I'm really sorry. I'll compensate for the clothes and everything. Well, since I've heard an apology, I guess that's fine. The rest is up to you, Michael. Emily returned to my side with a smile. Alex immediately scolded his brother. I've always told you, when you start a fight, make sure you know who you're up against. It's shameful to stoop to the level of pathetic thugs. Even if you're my brother, if you're going to use my name, do it with some resolve. Don't just casually use it without being able to take responsibility. Bro, what should I do now? He finally seemed to grasp the gravity of his words, but it was too late. Alex seemed determined about his brother's punishment. Alex, are you sure? Coming into this, I've been prepared from the start. I'm truly sorry. It's my fault for not educating him properly. It doesn't really matter to me what they say. But I can't forgive anyone who hurts Emily. Alex dragged his brother into the car, and I watched them leave. The mafia society is complicated, isn't it? Alex looked so conflicted. He's alone too, right? Sorry about that. Yeah, I might have mentioned it before. I remember now, there was a time like this before. My parents were, needless to say, at the top of the mafia. Growing up in a different environment, I think I always felt lonely, even though I had parents. Until college, I studied in the same environment as everyone else, but rumors inevitably spread. Finding a job was difficult once my background was investigated. When I seriously considered my future, I thought taking over the family business wouldn't bother anyone else. So I decided to continue the family legacy. It might be a different kind of loneliness, but I was undoubtedly alone. Being overly cautious around me, hardly making any real friends, and this height of mine inevitably led to being avoided. But then, there was a time when I protected Emily from some thugs causing trouble on my turf. Emily didn't know I was in the mafia, and thought I was just someone who happened to help her by chance. And she invited me out for a meal to thank me. There was no need to reveal my identity and scare her. Thinking so, I kept silent, but as I felt safe being with Emily, we were attracted to each other and started dating. But I couldn't easily confess that I was the son of a mafia member. If Emily knew I was in the mafia, she might look at me with fear and drift away. While I was troubled by this thought, one of my subordinates greeted me, and my secret was easily revealed. "What do you mean, bro? Is he a junior or something?" "Emily, I'm sorry I kept quiet. I'm actually the son of a mafia member. I'm also in that world, but I want to keep dating you. Though I might cause you trouble, even if I'm just an apprentice, my parents are real mafia members." "I see. I thought you seemed troubled sometimes, but that's what you were worried about. Actually, I don't have any parents anymore. I'm really alone. Being with you, I sensed you were carrying some loneliness too, so that was the reason." For Emily, who had no parents, having any parents might have seemed enviable. "There will definitely be situations where I cause trouble unrelated to you. So, about us. This situation doesn't matter. Your struggle being the son of a mafia member. No one can solve that. It's something you can't even talk about with anyone, right? There's nothing lonelier than that." Saying so, she shed tears for me and chose to stay by my side, understanding my situation. "There's no trouble that can affect me. I have no ties to anything. My feelings for you won't change no matter what. Even if you try to push me away, I won't leave." From that moment, I swore to truly protect Emily. "It's okay. I will always be by your side, so don't leave me alone, okay?" Even after saying that, I involved Emily in this situation. I felt down inside again. Although she appeared strong, I couldn't figure how she felt inside. Maybe she regrets marrying me. Emily is still young, and if this incident scared her. "Michael, are you worrying again?" "I was just thinking. I got you involved again." "I'm not bothered at all. Rather, did I act properly as your wife?" "Of course, I was even impressed by how resolute you were." "That's because I trust you. I wasn't scared at all. If I behaved properly, then I'm glad." Emily is a strong woman. Seeing her makes my worries seem trivial. I can't thank her enough for trusting me like this and understanding her role as my wife. Despite the trouble caused by his brother, Alex has made his resolution and moved forward, even after the loss of his brother. I must protect everyone at all costs. And I won't leave anyone alone. With that strong vow, I embraced Emily. "What's gotten into you, Michael? All right, our date isn't over yet." "That's right. We hardly had a proper meal. My clothes might have had their fill of beer, but neither you nor I have had a drink. Let's go find another place then. I'll visit the office later to sort things out." Excuse me, sir. This floor contains a lot of confidential information, so it's off limits to outsiders. The cleaning company's office is in the basement, right? Hurry up and get going." The younger employees these days are exactly spirited. That's all I thought to myself. Being nearly 60 and on the brink of retirement, suddenly showing up at the headquarters, it's no wonder the younger employees don't recognize who I am. In the end, it doesn't matter what I'm supposed to be. I just do my job. My name is Michael, in my late 50s. For an average salaried worker, I'd be considered close to retirement age in most companies. The company I admired is one that develops online games. It started in a tiny room with just 2 computers and 2 people. Before we knew it, the company had grown so much that it had its headquarters in a building so tall that the top floor was too dazzling to see. I was called in for work this time, but I was worried if I could handle it since there have been a lot of young employees joining in the meantime. "Excuse me, you're in the way." "I'm terribly sorry. I wasn't blocking the entrance on purpose. It was a wide enough hallway that they could easily get by. I was just standing there. My peaceful morning was disturbed, and I was somewhat annoyed, but I politely apologized to the man and moved aside. Country bumpkin, don't just stand there dazing off. The man who muttered this as he passed by also clicked his tongue loud enough for me to hear. With my employee badge prepared in advance, I entered the company. I believe the development department was this way. I hardly ever came to the headquarters, so I was lost in the building filled with similar-looking rooms. Then, I spotted the man who had hurled insults at me at the entrance. Realizing my gaze, the man seemed to recognize me and immediately said, Hold on, sir. This floor has a lot of confidential matters, so it's off-limits to outsiders. The cleaning company's office is supposed to be in the basement. Hurry up and go." The man must have thought I was a cleaner based on my attire. He gestured dismissively with his hand. No, that's not it, you see. I'm busy here. Just go do your cleaning job." The man didn't seem to have the slightest interest in listening to me, glaring as if to make sure I'd quickly leave the floor. I apologized for the intrusion. Today, I was dressed in a casual jacket and a checkered shirt. Since I wasn't wearing a tie, they probably didn't think I was an employee of the company. Reluctantly, I decided to move as the man had said. As I was about to take the elevator down, the man quickly grabbed my hand, pressing the elevator button. "Hey, old man, this isn't your personal elevator. Take the stairs." With a smug look, the man said that to me. I understood he wanted to belittle me as much as possible, and I felt irritated, but showing anger would only play into his hands. I held back and, with a pleasant smile, looked at the man and said, "You're right. I'm very sorry for the inconvenience." Saying that, I checked the man's employee badge. It read Brandon Taylor. Brandon, I might as well remember that. Though I thought it was in bad taste, I firmly memorized Brandon's face and headed towards the stairs. As I slowly descended the stairs, thinking about the many floors, I realized that at my age, it was indeed impossible, and I might just collapse. The first few steps felt like good exercise, but I quickly started to run out of breath. When I carefully stepped out into the hallway, I found myself in the cafeteria. This is a relief. I'll take a break here before getting in touch. Thinking this, I ordered an iced coffee and drank about half of it in one go, and then my phone rang. "Hello, this is Michael speaking." "Hey, where are you right now? I've been waiting for your call. Let me know once you arrive at the station. I'll send a car to pick you up." "Oh, I'm currently." "Wait, where are you right now?" As I began to say I'm at, I stopped myself. It might be good to take a look around the headquarters and see what it's like now and who's working here. So, I pretended I hadn't arrived yet. Sorry, I haven't reached the station yet. I'll be there soon and will call you back." Fortunately, it's been 20 years since I last came to headquarters. With many young employees like Brandon, not many people know me. I felt like a child playing hide and seek in the vast building. If I wander around too conspicuously, I might be treated as a suspicious person by someone like Brandon. I decided to keep a low profile. Then, a woman approached. She seemed to have some business with the chef in the cafeteria. From her attire and demeanor, she appeared to be in her late 30s. She was dressed smartly in a suit. She was possibly the CEO's secretary. Holding a planner and a tablet, she looked like someone who gets the job done. Clicking her heels, she approached the chef in the kitchen and said, "Good morning. Today, CEO Smith has an important guest, so please prepare lunch for two as usual." For me, usually in the countryside, this woman seemed like someone from a TV drama. Indeed, a CEO must have a good eye for people, I thought as I watched her. Noticing my gaze, she looked at me. After a moment of wondering who I was, She greeted me politely. "Good morning. Is there something troubling you? My name is Ashley," she asked, perhaps sensing my unease. "Good morning. No, I'm just taking a break before work. Please don't mind me." Even though she said not to worry, it's natural to be curious about an unfamiliar face in the company. Despite being a public cafeteria, she eyed me with suspicion as if I were an intruder. When I asked Ashley for directions to the development room, she kindly joined me in the elevator. Exiting the elevator, Ashley said, "The development room is at the end of this floor," and then returned to her own office. Obviously, as a stranger, I couldn't just walk into a room boldly, so I looked around discreetly. Then, from a room that seemed to be a meeting room, I heard loud voices. "Brandon, not again. Please stop it. You'll get caught eventually." I heard such voices. Carefully, I moved closer to eavesdrop without being noticed. "Who do you think you're talking to? I could have you kicked out of this development department in no time." Peeking into the room, I saw Brandon, who had complained to me a while ago. Could Brandon hold a high position, capable of expelling someone from the development department? I worried about the HR personnel hiring such individuals, wondering if he might have connections at the executive level. Then Brandon came to where I was hiding, and our eyes met. "Hey, cleaning guy, you are still here. This area is off limits to outsiders. Are you a new guy? Then, go buy me a coffee, now." Embarrassed at being seen in that situation, Brandon yelled at me with visible irritation. I apologized for the inconvenience. Understood. As I apologized, Brandon seemed somewhat satisfied and quickly left. Right after that, the man who was talking to Brandon approached me. "Are you okay? He's really rough, isn't he?" "Thank you. It's my fault for eavesdropping. Excuse me, but did he take something important from you?" The man looked troubled at being seen in such an unpleasant situation, but after a brief pause, he shared with me. "That guy is related to someone important in HR, maybe a son or a relative. That's why he's been placed in this department despite being incapable. He always takes credit for others' work, pretending to be busy. He sounds like trouble. Is it because of connections in HR? Just keep it between us, okay?" The man put his index finger to his lips, signaling for secrecy. "Sure, I won't tell anyone, but doesn't it bother you that he's taking credit for your work? Don't you care about what you develop?" I couldn't help but express my frustration to the man. "I hate it too, but if I refuse, I might get kicked out of development. I love my job, you know, but there's a limit to everything. That's why I've planted a bug in the current data. I can fix it, but Brandon definitely can't. It'll be interesting to see what happens." He spoke with a bit of irritation after hearing my words. "Won't Brandon try to get back at you? I can't believe there are such childish adults around." "Well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Working in a place where you can't do your job properly doesn't lead to good outcomes. I've said too much to someone I've just met. Sorry, I need to get back to work." "Hey, can you tell me your name?" "I'm Jason." "Oh, and don't worry about the coffee. I'll get it." "No, it's okay. I was asked to do it, so please go back to your work." "All right then, thank you." Jason gave me a bright smile, waved, and went back to his work. After watching him leave, I took out the note Ashley had given me. "Ashley, it's Michael." "Yes, how can I assist you?" Ashley answered the phone immediately after one ring. "I'm really sorry to ask, but could you bring some coffee to the development room?" "Certainly. How many cups do you need?" "Just one is fine, thanks." After hanging up, I pondered the reason I was called to the headquarters after 20 years. Maybe he had a hunch about the current situation. That's why he summoned me to the headquarters now. I encouraged myself to meet his expectations and then reached for the doorknob of the development room. As I opened the door and entered, Brandon stood in front, preparing to present what I presumed was data taken from Jason. Unaware of my entrance, Brandon was focused intently. A man, mistaking me for an outsider, approached but then looked surprised to see me. I motioned for silence as my name was about to be called out, focusing instead on Brandon's presentation. As Brandon reached the middle of his explanation, the screen went black with a clattering mechanical sound. Seconds later, when the screen lit up again, it displayed photos of Brandon slacking off. In a panic, Brandon couldn't figure out how to stop the data, sweating and flustered. The photos showed various scenes, such as Brandon napping in a sloppy manner and yelling at Jason, like a slideshow. Trying to hide it, he stood in front of the projector, but the other employees were already snickering. "Hey, Brandon, that's your data, right? Stop it now." Upon being told by his boss, Brandon responded with a face that looked like he was about to cry. Yes, that's strange." Brandon frantically clicked on the computer, but not knowing how to stop it, he ended up just banging on it roughly. "Hey, Jason, you made this, right? Stop it now." In his panic, Brandon inadvertently revealed that the data was Jason's to everyone in the development department. "Is this someone else's data? What kind of person are you, Jason? Please stop it." Hearing that, the department head Ryan instructed Jason to stop the slideshow. Then, a red-faced Brandon approached Jason. "Jason, this was your doing, wasn't it?" Forgetting about the others around, Brandon grabbed Jason by the collar and confronted him. Just as he was about to swing his right hand, I spoke up. "Brandon, stop this disgraceful behavior right now. Let go of Jason." Everyone in the room turned to me in shock. Brandon, the most surprised, looked at me as his name was called. And then he directed his anger at me, yelling as if to take it out on me. "Hey, old man, don't you dare to act all high and mighty with me, a newbie. Where's the coffee?" Seeing Brandon confront me, Ryan from the development department intervened him. "Do you even realize who you're talking to? Ryan, this old guy is a new hire, right? What is HR thinking hiring someone like him?" Hearing that, Ryan let out a heavy sigh. Brandon ignored the question, and Ryan offered me a deep apology. "I'm terribly sorry for this unsightly scene and the rude behavior. Chairman Smith, did you, by any chance, hear about this from CEO Smith?" "Well, I haven't heard the details, but I had a hunch something was going on." Just then, Ashley appeared with a single cup of coffee. "Excuse me," she said as she entered the room and offered me the coffee. "Chairman Smith, sorry to keep you waiting." Ashley, sorry to make you do this. Thank you." I took the coffee from Ashley and handed it to Brandon. "Here you go, Brandon." Brandon had lost all his earlier bravado, and he was visibly shaken. Chairman Smith, you're not a new hire. Thank you for the coffee." The employees around us were also unsettled by the situation. Jason looked particularly flustered. Then, CEO Smith arrived, looking rushed. It seems that Ashley had witnessed the situation and contacted CEO Smith. Upon entering with great urgency, CEO Smith saw me and immediately exclaimed, "Brother, sorry about this. I was surprised when I heard from Ashley that you were already inside the company. So, what happened?" In reality, I am the older brother of Daniel Smith, the CEO of this company, and hold a nominal position as its chairman. Naturally, the young employees, not having seen a chairman who hadn't appeared at the headquarters for 20 years, were unaware of who I was, leading to this commotion. "Daniel, I took a look at the development department and, well, there are quite a lot of issues. So, you've seen it, brother. I have a favor to ask. Could you come back to the headquarters?" I was at a loss at CEO Smith's earnest request. Once upon a time, as we started the company together, I demanded of perfection from the increasing number of employees. and it disrupted the harmony within the company. My stress over unattainable goals led me to shout at employees and demand excessive overtime, earning me the nickname "the demon behind my back." The stressed employees lost their motivation to create good products, and the company atmosphere turned tense. Seeing Daniel always trying to mediate between me and the employees with a troubled face, I suggested stepping back myself. After that, I retreated to the countryside, where I opened a small programming class for children and led a modest life. Before I knew it, Daniel had grown the company we started together into something much larger on his own. He must have had the knack for management. Standing in front of the company, I looked up at the building and felt deep down that stepping back then was the right decision. However, I was surprised to find myself listed as the chairman without realizing it. By the way, Brandon was saying something a minute ago. Cross me, and I'll have you kicked out of the development department. What was that all about? That was. Brandon, who had mistaken me for a cleaner, found me the president's brother. He was now shocked to realize it, trembling. That was just a rumor I spread myself. I thought if people believed I was related to someone important in HR, they'd treat me better. Wow, you're amazing. You have the power to make people believe lies. It'd be great if you could use the talent for something more productive. I wasn't trying to belittle Brandon, honestly. I found his method quite childish. But the ability to convince people of rumors was indeed impressive. "I'm sorry," Brandon apologized. I stopped him and said, "Instead of apologizing to me, shouldn't you be apologizing to Jason? It seems like you've done quite a bit to him." After that, Brandon, with a tearful face, turned to Jason and apologized. "Jason, I'm sorry for everything. I've always been envious of the interesting ideas you come up with. I truly am sorry for all I've done." Brandon. Daniel, the CEO, who had been merely observing until now, interjected. "So, Michael, how would you resolve this?" Daniel looked at me with a plotting expression. All right, I get it. Brandon, from this moment on, I'll be taking you under my wing for some strict training, and if you're really sorry, you'll start supporting Jason from now on." Wait, I'm not being fired. Brandon recalled his past rudeness and had braced himself for dismissal, but I didn't allow it. "You see, I love turning the incapable into the capable even more than I love my meals. You're going to change." As I said this with a cheerful smile, Ryan from the development department murmured, "The demon still holds." Demon. Brandon shrank like a trembling puppy. Even demons mellow out and become less scary with age, after 20 years. Daniel, the CEO, said this with a hearty laugh as he left the development department. "A demon, huh? Lucky you, Brandon. Make sure to learn all the ins and outs thoroughly. I want to learn too." Jason seemed amused by Brandon's trembling, but expressed a desire to learn together. "It's nice to hear you want to learn from me. All right, Brandon, let's get started." "Yes, sir." Brandon looked at me nervously. As a new member of the development team, I focused on nurturing young talent. Brandon was gradually transforming into a capable individual, and for some reason, Jason became very attached to me. The atmosphere in the development room now was filled with laughter. It was far from a stark contrast to the tense environment of 20 years ago. And so, I'm enjoying corporate life for the first time in 20 years. Perhaps even demons soften and lose their scare over 2 decades. At the cusp of 60, I'm experiencing some of the most enjoyable moments of my life. You're a salary thief and you are fired. Get out of here now. For the past few years, I had been removed from the front lines of work, and I was troubled by the behavior of my younger boss, Alex, who looked down on me, calling me a salary thief. Wait, fired? Yes, I've already reported this matter to the board. just pack your things and leave. This can't be happening." In the midst of my shock at the sudden firing, Alex whispered in a voice so low no one else could hear, "You're no longer needed in this company. I'm going to pin my mistake on you, so just quietly leave the company." Incredibly, Alex was pushing his own mistake onto me to force me into resignation. This is goodbye, then. With no energy left to fight, I left the company. When I got home and told my beloved wife about being fired, she surprised me by smiling and nodding, saying, "Thank you for quitting." Knowing the reason for her words, I felt proud of my wife and was reminded of a certain initial aspiration. My name is Mark. I'm a 45-year-old company employee. I married my college sweetheart, Jessica, when we were 25, and we've been together for 20 years. We haven't been blessed with children, but we live happily together. After graduating from college, my wife, Jessica, landed a job at a major manufacturer, but she resigned to stay at home and support me upon our marriage. She was beautiful and academically excellent, apparently ranking at the top among her peers in her company's personnel evaluation. I honestly thought it was a waste for her to quit her job, but she seemed to have no regrets, laughing it off. I don't have anything special I want to do, so I decided I want to support and cheer you on with all my might as you passionately pursue what you want to do. But it seems like a waste for someone as talented as you to just settle down at home. Not at all. There are plenty of people who can replace me. There was never a job that only I could do. But I was happy to have her at home, but I kept pressing, worried she might get bored with that life. However, my worries seemed unfounded, as she was always cheerful. "I've made up my mind, or what? Don't you want a homemaker as your wife?" "Of course I do. I'm happy to have you when I come back." "All right, I'll work hard to cook delicious meals for you." For 20 years since then, my wife has kept our home clean, prepared breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and continued to make delicious meals every day. With my wife's wholehearted devotion, my occupation, in turn, is that of a game creator. I've loved games since I was a child, spending all day playing games, even skipping sleep. Eventually, I wanted to try my hand at game development, which has brought me to where I am today. After graduating from college, I joined a major game development company, and around the time I got married, one of my projects was approved for the first time, and I was busy leading the project. Back then, pulling all-nighters was the norm, and I lived a life of just coming home for a shower and a change of clothes, which worried my wife enough to become a homemaker. Perhaps thanks to my wife's devoted support, a turning point came for me a few years after our marriage. Tom, a friend from college, asked me if I wanted to start a company together. Tom had joined a rival company, and we would occasionally catch up over drinks. The proposition to start a business came out of the blue during one of these drinking sessions. "Hey Mark, how about we start a mobile game development company together?" "A game development company? Your games sell really well, but the rights belong to the company, right? Doesn't that frustrate you?" "Well, I'm satisfied just being allowed to make games I like. I've never even thought about starting a business." At that moment, I hadn't considered entrepreneurship at all and was taken aback, stumbling over my words. "You're too naive. You have the talent, so why not use that to do what you want, make money, and make Jessica happy?" "I don't have that kind of talent." "Then what about the huge success of the new game you supervised recently? Was that just a fluke?" "It wasn't just my effort alone." "Don't be so modest. Plus, as a salaried employee, there are so many restrictions, right? Don't you want to make games more freely?" Tom's words struck a chord with me. Indeed, wanting to create games entirely my way was something that felt frustratingly difficult in my position as an employee. More freedom. I indeed want that. "Oh, are you getting into the idea?" Can we really do it? It's not about whether we can or can't. We'll make it so we can. And so, we spent the night drinking and discussing the business plan until late. A year later, we each contributed $25,000 as capital and started a small company. Renting a room in an old apartment for our office, Tom took care of sales, planning, character design, and backgrounds, while I took on the overall game development, including scenario writing and programming, and the company got off the ground. In the year leading up to leaving our jobs, we diligently created mobile game apps, and 3 months after starting the business, we began distribution. Gradually gaining users and smoothly acquiring sponsors, our company continued to grow. Now, about 15 years after starting, our company has grown into a well-known game development company with over 500 employees and numerous blockbuster hits. As the company grew, many talented young employees joined, and about 5 years ago, I decided to step back from the forefront of game creation. I no longer wanted to work as recklessly as before and preferred to work at my own pace, emphasizing work-life balance. Without major projects, I became a consultant for the younger staff and started writing plots whenever I felt creative, working at my leisure. I go to work early in the morning and use the flex time system to finish by 5 p.m. and head home. That's my lifestyle. However, there is someone who disapproves of my work attitude. Alex, a young employee only 8 years into the company but already promoted to department head. Alex often confronts me with a condescending attitude. He has always been ambitious, which I admired, but in recent years his strong personality has backfired when it comes to me. Today, as I was reading a document alone, he approached me from behind. "As usual, you look idle. Please do your job properly." Yes, I was going through some documents that caught my interest. Documents. You're not handling any significant tasks, yet you talk big. It's obvious you're doing nothing, even without trying to look cool. "Eh? You, salary thief." His direct insult left me speechless. Alex continued. "Why don't you just retire? It's really a nuisance to everyone around here when you get paid without working." "Wait, hold on. I do take care of necessary tasks." "Huh? I don't want to hear excuses. People like you irritate me. If you're not going to work, don't come to the company." Confrontations like these troubled me every time we met. While I was pondering how to deal with Alex, the harassment and verbal abuse escalated day by day. Then, one day, an incident occurred. "Hey, Mark." "What is it?" As I arrived at work in the morning, Alex suddenly called out to me, seething with anger. "You made a major sponsor angry. What were you thinking?" What's this about a sponsor?" "Don't play dumb. You rejected all the requests to feature their products in the game without consulting anybody and proceeded with production, didn't you?" "No, what are you talking about?" Alex's shouting filled the office, and I was publicly humiliated in front of many employees, feeling like I was sitting on pins and needles. I wasn't even in charge of any game production work involving sponsors in the first place. Looking straight at Alex, I could see the laughter in the depths of his eyes. "I've been lenient with you not working, but when you start causing losses for the company, I can't stay silent anymore. You're fired." "Wait, fired?" "Yes, I've already reported this to the board. Just pack your things and leave. This can't be happening." In my flustered state, Alex whispered so quietly that no one else could hear. "You're no longer needed in this company. At least you should be grateful to take the blame for the mistakes of me, who is a valuable asset to the company." Incredibly, Alex had pinned his mistake on me, forcing me into resignation. Moreover, he meticulously involved the board members in his scheme. "This is goodbye, then." With those words, Alex sneered at me dismissively. After being berated by Alex, I lacked the energy to fight back and silently packed my belongings to leave the company. I was beyond angry. I felt eerily calm. Alex threatened me with disciplinary dismissal, but I knew it wasn't that easy to just fire someone. However, I couldn't bear the thought of working with Alex any longer, so I decided to leave the company for good. I had lived selfishly, doing what I loved, transitioning from a busy corporate life to an even busier entrepreneurial one. I was worried that if I told my wife that all this resulted in being fired by a younger manager, she might become infuriated or be disappointed in me. It was just past noon on a weekday. I couldn't remember ever coming home at such a time as I headed back to my apartment, where my wife greeted me with surprise. "I'm home." "Hi, my dear. What happened today? You're early." "Well, actually." I recounted the entire episode of my dismissal to my wife. "I'm really ashamed that it has come to this, but I'm leaving the company." Listening silently until the end, my wife, contrary to my expectations of anger, nodded with a broad smile. "Yes, I think it's a good idea. Thank you for quitting the company." "Eh? What do you mean?" "Come with me. There's a place I want to take you." "Go together. Where to?" Without answering my question, my wife stood up with a smile and urged me to follow her. She suggested we go for a delicious lunch, guiding me to a bustling downtown area not far from our home. As we walked down the main street lined with office and fashion buildings, bustling with people, my wife was approached, greeted, and even asked for handshakes. "Are you Jessica? I'm a fan. I'm so thrilled to meet you." "Thank you. I came to this restaurant today because of your blog." "Really? That makes me happy." Confused by the unfolding events and seeing my wife becoming a celebrity, I stared at her in amazement. When the crowd thinned, my wife turned to me, surprised. "Wow, what's going on, Jessica? Are you a celebrity?" "Seeing you work hard and chase your dreams, I wanted to do something too." "Is that so?" "So, I started a blog." "A blog?" I couldn't hide my surprise at my wife's unexpected revelation. "Yes, I started sharing information about beauty, delicious restaurants, fashion, and things I love. It got a great response, and now I'm kind of an influencer." Saying that, my wife revealed the secret to me with a slightly embarrassed smile. Indeed, my wife was always beautiful and popular in college, but I had no idea she had become so famous through her blog that people would recognize and approach her on the street. She explained that her blog had many readers, providing a decent income from advertising. "Do you despise me for keeping this a secret?" "Not at all. I'm proud that you're getting so much attention and doing well. It's really impressive." "Thank you. It's all thanks to you. Thank you for giving me the chance to change. If you're quitting your job, I'd be happy if you supported me this time." Reminded by my wife's gentle words of gratitude, I recalled the feelings I had when we first started our company. Immersing myself in game development 20 years ago. Making a bold decision 15 years ago to pursue my dream of creating the games I wanted with Tom. That passion faded as the company grew and I felt I had achieved creating all the games I wanted. But my wife's words reignited a strong desire not just as a game creator, but as a founding member to grow the company even further. Indeed, many talented young employees have joined the company, but I felt that the work had become routine and less innovative, making it less interesting. This growing concern about the company's current state led me to reach out to Tom, my co-founder. Tom shared his concerns that the mobile game development industry was becoming saturated with competitors, highlighting the need for more innovative content to ensure the company's future. As a result of our discussion, Tom and I decided to hold a shareholders meeting. On the day of the shareholders meeting, I visited the conference room of the company I had left, wearing a suit for the first time in a while. Among a few familiar faces, I also saw Alex, which inwardly made me sigh. Apparently, he had been buying company shares and was attending this general meeting as well. Trying to avoid being noticed by Alex, I attempted to slip past the entrance, but Alex quickly spotted me and approached with a smirk. "Hey, Mark. Feeling lonely after getting fired?" "Alex, you seem to be doing well as always." I responded lightly, which seemed to irritate him as he then began to insult me. "What business does a fired employee like you have here? You should leave. Hanging around here out of lingering attachment is just embarrassing." "I assure you, there's no need to worry about that." "Shut up and just leave. Don't give me any backtalk and get out of here." Ignoring Alex's persistent provocation, I entered the venue and waited for the shareholders' meeting to begin. Soon after, the host took the stage, and the meeting started. Tom, the president, took the chair and made the opening statement. Afterward, the meeting progressed, and it was time for the Q&A session with the shareholders. When I raised my hand, Alex, who had followed me to the adjacent seat and had been pestering me, surprisingly tried to stop me. "Come on, don't raise your hand. It's embarrassing. Silent shareholders like you should just keep quiet. You're disrupting the proceedings." Ignoring Alex's heckling, I caught the host's attention and was called upon. "Mark, thank you for joining us today. Please go ahead with your question." "My question is regarding the lack of new business development. With increasing personnel costs and other expenses, profits seem to be declining. What measures are being taken?" "Director, your response, please." The director, Joseph, looked at me, sweating and trembling, before responding. "As Mark rightly points out, we face many challenges in our future business plans. I need a straightforward answer. Are there any measures? Is the necessary personnel in place?" "Well, we will consider that." "It's too late for that, you know. Listen." I offered as many constructive suggestions as I could for the company's growth, which the management listened to with stiff faces. Alex watched the scene, baffled. "Therefore, we need new initiatives and a sales department. This requires flexible staff reassignments based on their abilities." We understood that. Unable to hold back, Alex interrupted the proceedings loudly. Wait a minute. Why does even Joseph let someone like him speak so arrogantly? Would you stop it, please?" The management on stage froze at Alex's words. "You idiot. Who are you to speak to him like that?" I'm Alex, an employee here, and also a shareholder. But really, letting someone like him stay is an embarrassment to the company." "Did you say your name was Alex? Are you not aware of who he is?" "Of course, I do. He's the useless employee I fired." "Don't be ridiculous. This man is our company's founder and holds more than 50% of the shares. You will be fired right away if Mark utters just a little bit." Hearing the director's words, Alex turned pale and began to tremble. You're joking, right? This person was insignificant and of no use to the company." Then, Tom, the president, spoke up in anger. "It's all true. Mark is my friend, and we founded this company together. How dare you speak of him like that?" Faced with Tom's glare, Alex started to make a pitiful excuse. I didn't know. I thought he was just loafing around, doing easy jobs and leaving on time. I had no idea he was a founder. I'm so sorry. The reason our company exists today is because of Mark, who single-handedly handled the production of our initial works. And you're telling me you fired him? Don't be absurd. Please, forgive me. You're fired. Leave the meeting and the company immediately." "No way. This is too much." Thus, Alex's disrespectful behavior was exposed in front of Tom, leading to his immediate dismissal, causing him to break down in tears. Subsequently, Alex was escorted out of the company by security guards. Alex, having been promoted at a young age, was ambitious and appeared to be dedicated to his work. However, he was the type of person who would step on others to get ahead, causing friction throughout the company. This not only hindered smooth operations but also led to numerous issues with business partners. The company was contemplating how to address these issues when Alex's appalling behavior towards me came to light, resulting in Tom personally firing him. With Alex gone, employees who have been intimidated by his arrogant demeanor felt liberated to work more freely, leading to an improved workplace environment. As for me, I was persuaded by Tom and the board to return to the company. They were unaware of Alex's termination announcement to me, believing instead that I had left the company out of dissatisfaction. I apologized for leaving without explanation, driven by my emotions at the time, and expressed a desire to work in human resources upon my return, rather than game development. My experiences since founding the company have deeply impressed upon me the importance of people in an organization's success. The right talent selection and placement can propel a company's growth. My current goal is to ensure the company continues to develop by offering new value to many people. I find great satisfaction in my role in talent acquisition. Since taking on the HR role, I have focused on selecting individuals whose aspirations align with the company's vision, significantly reducing workplace conflicts. While I am occasionally asked to assist with game development, I decline all such requests. Although I might have accepted in the past, I now believe that dedicating myself fully to my chosen path yields better outcomes. No matter how much the company grows, I am committed to focusing on talent acquisition and valuing people above all in my ongoing work. Pauper. Today again, a wealthy woman living in a world beyond my reach calls down on me, a mere commoner. This wasn't the relationship I had hoped for. I was suppressing my true self, dating her for the sake of my parents' company. My soul was wearing thin. My weary back was gently supported by a mentor who had been there for me. As time passed, an invitation to a reunion arrived. My name is Tim, and I'm just an ordinary college student living alone in New York. I have the kind of face people say you'd find at least one of in any family. Not particularly tall, but not short either. And unfortunately, not a particularly bright mind. The exam period is something I'd rather not remember. All-nighters, nodding off, textbooks covered in drool. The so-called best days of youth. My hometown is a peaceful rural area. My dad runs a small factory there. Small as it might be, it's still a business. He has a few employees, and technically, he's the president. Despite the economic downturn, we thankfully had steady work, built on long-standing trust with our suppliers. Among them, my dad was particularly close with the president of a certain company. They would often go fishing together. Coming home in the morning after night fishing, getting scolded by mom. But this client was a major player, to say the least, a giant in the industry. How such a big fish ended up friends with my small-town dad is beyond me, but they were really close. At that time, I was 19. So was the daughter of the client. That's when our parents got an idea. Why not have them meet, just once? Seems like parents' ideas don't change, no matter the era, and in my vulnerable position, I had no choice but to be dragged to meet this young lady. Her name was Sarah. Later on, I would come to deeply resent this setup by our parents. As I said before, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. My major in college is all about gaining the expertise I need to take over the family factory. The professors are strict, and the exams are tough. So, I lived a college life sparing no time for sleep, all for studying. In contrast, Sarah exuded the essence of a lady, both in her appearance and demeanor. Raised in a family where part-time jobs were unnecessary, she seemed unaware of the value of money, and her spending was quite extravagant. After meeting a few times, my dad seemed to see through Sarah's nature and advised, "Just keep it at a friendship level, she's quite a handful." Saying so, he patted me on the shoulder. "I have to clean up the mess you made by setting this up," I thought, feeling a bit irritated. I wasn't keen on any more tense dates with a lady not to my taste, but due to some twist of fate, Sarah took quite a liking to me. And somehow, we ended up at the same university. Yes, I couldn't avoid running into her on campus. If we happened to meet, I couldn't just ignore her, so I had to nod along with whatever she said. Eventually, Sarah's father, brimming with confidence, contacted my dad saying, "I think Sarah and Tim make a great pair. How about they try dating?" Dad said it was okay to refuse, but on the other side was a big-shot CEO doting on his daughter. Mixing business with personal matters is risky, and if our biggest client turns away, the factory's management could be in jeopardy. Despite my efforts to study hard for the future and take over the factory, it would all be meaningless if my actions caused it to falter. After much consideration, I reluctantly chose to date Sarah. Though we went on dates every weekend, I was not good at making witty conversation. And with a fixed allowance and little time for part-time jobs due to my heavy study load, I was always short on cash. Though I am the son of a factory president, I'm just the heir to a small-town factory. My view on money is no different from that of an ordinary household. For instance, I could barely afford to treat Sarah to her favorite restaurant for lunch, but dinner was out of the question. The places Sarah wanted to go to for dinner were always extravagantly expensive. She would never nod in agreement to my suggestions of family diners or chain restaurants. So I made it a point to wrap up our dates by early evening, without any fuss. Sarah seemed to be growing increasingly dissatisfied, but I pretended not to notice. And perhaps out of irritation, Sarah began to express her emotions more explosively. "What's with that outfit? You look so poor. Walk farther away from me. It's embarrassing. Huck, a discount coupon. It doesn't even save you $1 and you carry it around. Your stinginess is creepy." She didn't hide her disgust at all. Even if I didn't like the person, being constantly targeted with malice was exhausting. "Oh, I have to meet Sarah again next weekend." Just thinking about it was depressing, and gradually I found it hard to concentrate on my studies. The one who noticed my state was Professor Johnson. Professor Johnson noticed how exhausted I was and reached out to hear my story. And as I spoke, my words came flouting out like a broken dam. Professor Johnson listened to the end without interrupting, nodding along. And then he said, "Tim, your life is your own. Your consideration for your parents is commendable, but they surely don't wish for your sacrifice. Even if they do, you should firmly refuse. There's no need to waste your limited time." It felt like a push on my back. I called my dad that day and explained the situation. "I don't want to date Sarah anymore." "Sorry about that. Don't worry about the factory. You can break off the relationship." Hearing Dad's words made me wish I had sought his advice sooner. I apologized, and he replied it wasn't my fault, which greatly relieved me. And then came the weekend. During the date, all I could think about was how to announce our breakup. But the situation resolved itself surprisingly smoothly. Like, "Are you really the president's son? You're too poor. Let's break up." I feel totally deceived. Incredibly, Sarah broke up with me. I struggled to keep a grin off my face and managed to say okay, and Sarah disappeared into the crowd without looking back. I felt a weight lift off my shoulders, and in the best way possible. That night, I slept soundly for the first time in a while. Time flew by from then on. Fortunately, I graduated from university without having to repeat a year. I returned to the countryside and began learning the ropes of the business under Dad's guidance to take over the factory. Though I had grown up watching him work, being responsible was a whole new experience. Before I knew it, I was 30, working hard. While tipping back a can of beer after work, I suddenly remembered Professor Johnson. I wondered how he was doing now. He was truly a great mentor. I was always buried in studies trying to make up for what I lacked, and he said to me, "You're all wrong. Taking breaks and gaining life experience is also part of learning. If you don't relax a bit, you'll burn out." I recall him giving me that advice once. More than just teaching academics, he was a mentor who showed me the way in life, someone I could truly respect. Had Professor Johnson not encouraged me, had he not taught me how to take breaks, I might not be where I am today. I hope he's doing well, I thought sentimentally as I sipped my beer. And before I knew it, I was 40. Time seems to fly faster with each passing year. Man, I've turned into an old man before I knew it, I mused somberly as I checked the mail, only to spot a familiar name. Yes, Sarah, that distinguished young lady. With some trepidation, I opened the envelope to find an invitation to a reunion. It seems she fully leveraged her parents' resources to start her own business. She's planning to open a new restaurant and is hosting the reunion as a form of promotion. Alumni from all departments are invited, making it quite a grand affair, regardless of their major. Even for a small university, inviting the entire grade would mean a gathering of several hundred people. I wonder how large the restaurant must be. Part of me was curious to attend, but the sight of organizer Sarah Moore in bold letters revived past memories, and my interest in attending vanished instantly. But at the same time, it reminded me of someone else, so I decided to give a friend a call. "Hey, did you get this reunion invitation too?" "Yeah, I got it. Wasn't Sarah your ex-girlfriend?" What a trustworthy friend to remember such unnecessary details. "Forget about that. Do you remember Professor Johnson?" "Yeah, I see him occasionally through work. It seems he's also been invited to the reunion and mentioned he'd be attending." I acknowledged within "Is that so?" followed by some inconsequential small talk before hanging up. I didn't want to see Sarah. But I did want to see Professor Johnson again. I want to express my gratitude for how he's shaped who I am today. After some thought, I decided to attend and marked the RSVP card accordingly before sending it back. On the day of the reunion, I dressed in a suit for the first time in ages and scanned a flashy venue. There were quite a few attendees, but I quickly found a person I was looking for. "Professor Johnson, it's been too long." "Ah, Tim, is it? Good to see you're doing well." Professor Johnson called me by my name before I could introduce myself. I was touched that he remembered me. Despite having so much I wanted to say and express, I was just so happy to see him that I almost cried. Professor Johnson had aged considerably, his back slightly bent, leaning on a cane. Yet his character seemed unchanged, still exuding a calm and kind aura. I lowered myself to match his eye level. "Professor Johnson, I'm so glad to see you. Who I am today is all thanks to you. You supported me when I was struggling with a relationship I didn't want. I've always been grateful for that. Please stay healthy," I said. Wisdom comes with age. I only shared what any elder would say. "You've worked hard and become a fine adult," he responded. His words made me emotional. But before I could dwell on the sentiment, people started gathering around Professor Johnson. He's a man with many admirers. I figured there must be others here specifically to see Professor Johnson, so I shook his hand and stepped away. I was glad to have met him and express my gratitude in person. Attending today was truly worth it. But then, my mood took a sharp downturn. The last person I wanted to see, Sarah, was standing right in front of me. Still dressing as dull as ever. "What, are you carrying around bad luck?" She scrutinized me from head to toe, with the same old taunts as before. "It's my dad's suit. He passed down his favorite one to me. I like it, and it's really none of your business," I replied, trying to keep my tone calm, but such mild sarcasm was lost on Sarah. "A hand-me-down. Can't afford your own suit, or what? Don't tell me. Did you run the factory into the ground?" She sneered with a laugh through her nose. I was being completely mocked. Just as I was starting to get irritated. "Excuse me," a woman in her 20s said, greeting those around as she entered the venue. Approaching me, she mentioned, "It's about time to." Sarah, seeing this, frowned in confusion. "What? Are you his girlfriend? Better give up on this old guy. He's too poor to even buy a suit." "Poor? Are you referring to President Upton here?" The woman tilting her head at Sarah's words was my subordinate. Hearing the word, president, Sarah's face momentarily contorted. Despite this, confident of her superiority, Sarah's barrage didn't cease. "So you did inherit that rundown town factory, but you're probably only making a middle-class salary, aren't you? Can't even afford a new suit." Sarah's attitude, always bold when belittling others. It hadn't changed at all over the years. Realizing President Moore was not just a doting parent but rather foolish, I sighed, considering any further interaction a waste of time, and was about to walk away when, seems like there's a bit of a misunderstanding here. Our President Upton being called poor. His personal assets have reached $5 billion. If you've read the financial news, you'd have come across Mr. Upton's name at least once. My spirited subordinate was confronting Sarah. The vigor of youth. As for Sarah, she was momentarily at a loss for words, shocked, but quickly recovered. $5 billion. That kind of lie is easy to see through. And who are you, anyway, just barging in here? I'm his secretary. My secretary said, smoothly running her hand through her long hair. It was well maintained and, well, she was quite beautiful. And unlike Sarah, she didn't have any laugh-line wrinkles. In a match between a desperately wrinkle-fighting Sarah and a young, beautiful woman like her, there was no competition. I don't think the asset value is a lie. I've been hearing about Tim's efforts even after graduation. Turning towards the voice, I saw Professor Johnson standing there with a gentle smile. Perhaps it's best if I, a neutral party, explain the situation, he said, then proceeded to clarify the commotion to the onlookers. Continuing as a trust-based business would offer no future to a small-town factory. There is value in products that only our company can make. That was what I believed as I devoted myself to product development. I strive to expand our market not only domestically but also internationally. Even when we started seeing some success, I didn't rest on the laurels of being the president's son but worked even harder, eventually creating hit products. Repeating this process over and over led to our growth into a globally recognized company. You really did work hard. As your former teacher, I'm quite proud of you, he said with a smile directed at me. Oh, and I'm not Mr. Upton's girlfriend. He actually has a fiancé who's currently abroad, right, Mr. Upton? I gave a wry smile in response to my secretary's comment. In truth, I've moved my base of life overseas. That's where I met my fiancé, and we're living together now. We're planning our wedding soon, but I made time in my schedule to come back because I really wanted to see Professor Johnson. If I had continued to suppress myself and stayed in a relationship with Sarah, I wouldn't have the happiness I have now. I would have become just a puppet, as Sarah wished. The thought alone sent shivers down my spine. That's why I'm truly grateful to Professor Johnson. Professor Johnson, please take care until we meet again. I apologize, but I have work to attend to. Leaving Sarah behind stunned, I exited the venue. Later, somehow, Sarah managed to get my number and called. Hey, How about we catch up over dinner? Don't you think we could make it work this time? Her sugary voice made me shudder. I have to decline, as I'm engaged. I heard some yelling on the other end, but I firmly refused and turned off my phone. Rumor has it that despite its flashy appearance, Sarah's company is barely making any profit, and she's struggling financially. Furthermore, her personality has seemingly led to her still being single. It's said that she goes through breakups just as quickly as she starts relationships. Even her once doting father has cut off support in disillusionment. Sarah had been accumulating debts under his name without his knowledge. Enraged, her father disowned her, leaving her completely isolated. It seems only a matter of time before her current company collapses. Tim, who was that on the phone? Oh, it's nothing important. I replied with a smile, turning to my fiancée. She's someone precious who silently supported me even when the company was unstable. It took a while before things stabilized, but I was finally able to propose. They often say the worth of a person isn't measured by money, and my life is a testament to that. Moving forward, I plan to carefully discern who truly connects with me as a person and cherish those individuals. Starting with the beloved woman right in front of me,